Hello, families. Thank you for joining us for our Return Stronger virtual information session as we prepare to have discussions about the proposed return to school this January. We thank you for sharing part of your evening with us. Our family and community engagement and our student equity, enrollment, and discipline teams are here to assist you with sharing information and to answer your questions. We'll go ahead and get oriented to our screen. I do want you to know if you are connected with us in Microsoft Teams Live, you have the option to add closed captioning to your screen. If you're connected with us on social media, then automatic closed captioning can be used as well. On Microsoft Teams Live, you'll follow the instructions that will be on your screen in just a moment to add closed captioning. You'll locate the settings feature. Once you've done that, you'll find the button for captions and subtitles. From there, you will be able to select the language of your choice: English, Spanish, Arabic, French, Vietnamese, or Chinese. We'll work to get that information on your screen for you so that you'll have those instructions. If you are connected with us on social media, we have a chat team that is there with you in the chat box and able to respond to your questions. If you're using Microsoft Teams Live, you have the live Q&A feature. That will be our primary basis for discussions today. We'll be using the Microsoft Teams live Q&A feature. If you would, go ahead and find that feature now, and we'll see if we see some questions starting to come forward, or you can let us know which schools you're representing or just a little hello so that we'll know that you found it. We're taking a look now in that Microsoft Teams live Q&A feature to see if we have any comments coming in from families in Microsoft Teams Live. All right, it looks like some families are finding that feature, and we will be able to move forward with today's presentation. We do want you to know that our learning option decision date has been extended from October 30th to now November 6th. So families, you now have until November 6th to make that decision about which schools, I'm sorry, not about which schools, to make that decision about how your students will be learning this January. You have the option to choose between our virtual and our in-school virtual options. I do see that Grandwood, Cordova, East High School, Snowden, Southwind, we see that you are here. We know that you found that feature, and we are ready to move forward. Well, our first presenter of the evening is Sonia Payne. She's the Director of Family and Community Engagement. Ms. Payne, are you live?
I am live. Good evening, families. Thank you so much for joining us on this evening. Let's take a look at our agenda. Okay, on this evening, we will discuss and take a look at our sample schedules as it relates to elementary, middle, and high school. We will focus on the travel time, the process of entering the building, as well as morning instruction, lunch, the virtual learning, and the exit procedures. Also, we have Justin Doss who will review Power School support information as well as updating student reentry options. We will also give you a list of contact information for your convenience to address your wonderings as well as any concerns. Take a look at the side. We have safety facts. It discusses face masks, cleaning and sanitation, temperature check, bus transportation, as well as suspected confirmed cases. We will drop a link in our Q&A so you can read at your leisure. Let's take a look at a sample day in the life of an elementary student. Okay, so on each slide that you will see, you will have numbers 1 through 6. The first address the travel time and this is a high school. So the first is the travel time. The second address the entering of the building. Third is the morning instruction that will be virtual via the team platform. Fourth, it talks about the lunch and the procedures of washing our hands and being in designated areas. It will vary from schools. Fifth is the afternoon virtual instruction. And last will be the exit procedures for our students. We will drop the link in our Q&A so you can read at your leisure as well as in detail. Next slide. All right, so it varies from school, from elementary to middle and high, and those time frames are different. But now we're going to go ahead and I'm going to pitch it off to Justin Dawes so he can talk about selection as well as Power School support. Justin, are you live?
Yes, I'm now live. Thank you, Ms. Payne. Good afternoon, families, friends, colleagues. My name is Justin Dawson. I'm here on the behalf of the Department of Student Equity, Enrollment, and Discipline, and I'm here to discuss the student learning options that is built within the Power School Parent Portal. For those of you who are not aware, there is a student learning option that was extended through November 6th, which is this Friday, so you can choose your option of whether you choose to send your student back or keep them virtual for the remainder of the year. This is a survey that is out there that will take into effect in January. If you'll notice on the screen in front of you is how to get to the parent portal. The easiest way is to go to Shelby County Schools website, which is scsk12.org. Click on the Student and Parents tab up top, and then click Power School for Parents. Once you click on that, it will link you to the next page. Where you'll see a link that says click here on how to access your Power School account. And you'll also see under the laptop right there where it says access your account here. Once you click on that, it will take you to a home screen where you're able to log in to your Power School Parent Portal. Very important, parents, if you are using the companion app with Power School, the app on your phone is only for attendance and grades. You cannot register through there or do the student learning option or any other of the options that they make available throughout the year, whether it be the various virtual academies or summer learning academies or fall academy, signing up for ACT. Whenever we have something new that you sign up for, you must go through a web browser and you must log onto your parent account from a web browser. Now you can still use it on your phone, you just have to go through the browser, not the app. Again, the student learning options info has been extended through November 6th. Now, if you made your decision in the beginning of the year, one thing to know is if you selected virtual and you want to keep it virtual, you do not have to submit. It is that the form to submit right now is only if you want to change your decision in which you chose at the beginning of the year. If you did not choose one then and you do not choose one now, it is presumed that your student will be showing up in person. We're doing this for so we can get accurate numbers, as accurate as we can, so we'll know issues as far as staffing, the safety protocols, social distancing, bus transportation, everything that ties into going back into the building or staying at home. There's also the option, if you go on there or if you can't remember how to get into your parent portal, you can email us at studentservices@scsk12.org or call 416-6007. The number and information will be on a later slide. If you cannot remember how to log into your Power School and you remember the email associated with it, there is a forgot username or password link. It will send you a link to reset your password. Very important, you must know the email that you have associated with your Power School account, and you can do the forgot username or password link. Sometimes if you send it and you don't see anything after a couple minutes, check your spam folder. Sometimes when it comes from a big, you get emails from a big company like ourselves, it goes to the spam folder. So I would check your inbox and your spam if you're doing the forgot username or password. Please remember, you must know the email that is associated with it. Now, once you get inside the parent portal, you'll see on the left side the tabs that are available. Right now, this is a current look at what the parent portal looks like. There is a student learning option. The returning student and new student registration is always up there. But if you click on the green tab, you'll pull up the form that's in the middle right there that explains all the procedures in which we're going through and how we're working with the health department to try and ensure the safety for all of our families, students, staff, and whether you want to choose in school or virtual. I'll give you a heads up. We've had a lot of parents who have emailed in or who called us and said it will not let them submit. For instance, if you look at the one that's on the screen now, it already says in school. If I try to hit submit, it's going to say a change must be made because that's the option that is already in there. So if I change it to virtual and hit submit, then it will submit that I want to do virtual. If I want to remain in school, I would just hit cancel. I'm gonna swing it back to the ladies. Thank you.
Okay, parents, we have our additional support information that is listed here on the screen. These are ways that you can receive assistance. Our SEED office is always available at 901-416-6007. Our Parent Welcome Center and IT support, 901-416-5300. Any reentry questions, SCS reentry20 at scsk12.org. Our new students, we would like for you to reach out to us. I choose at scsk12.org. Also, there are reentry videos available for you. We will have those links placed in our Q&A. So, school support, if you can't log in or you forgot your username or password, Power School Help Aid for Parents, www.scsk12.org/learning options. Parents, this is a live Q&A. If you have any wonderings or questions that relate to our reentry plan, we would like to address them at this time. And I do want to go back to our sample day in the life of an elementary, middle, and high school. Those times are staggered. It will revert back to the time of our school daytime that we had before our pandemic, but we have slated at this time our elementary students. The travel time is 7:15 to 7:30 for arrival. Middle school, 7:15 to 7:30, and our high school, 6:45 to 7 a.m. We will have the layouts of the elementary, middle, and high school return, a sample for you in our Q&A. Okay, let's move to our chat moderators to see if we have any questions to address at this time. Chat moderators, any questions that we need to address?
Yes, we have a couple parents who are interested in knowing the benefits to choosing the in-person option versus the virtual option that we have been using. And so we have some families who are just interested in hearing some perspective on some of the benefits for choosing the in-person. Which I can gladly take that question.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
I will, but you just let me know.
So families, we do want you to know that we are here to support you as you make that decision. It is an individual family decision, of course, and I know that many of you know that. So the benefits to that is if you are a family, and this is not all family situations, but if you are a family who is struggling to identify childcare at this time, if you are a family who your children are being cared for at this time, maybe by an older family member or a family member who is less comfortable with technology and you would prefer a different situation, the school district is making ourselves available to assist you there. We're also providing those educational assistance support folks in the classrooms. If it's not the regular classroom teacher in the classroom, these are people who are more familiar with the content, more familiar with interacting with the students on a day-to-day basis. And so for families who have students who are at home and they're really concerned about the level of support they're getting at home, this is an additional option, an additional method for support for those families. So some are asking, is this very similar to what might be going on in some of the other environments that we have partnered with over the last several months? And so to some degree, yes, there is some similarity there. But we do want families to have this additional layer of support, and that is connecting with us in the school building if that is your choice. And of course, families still have the option to continue virtually if they choose to. Are there other, I do see several questions actually coming in the chat. I just want to make sure that we address them. Can we have some chat team to help us with bringing some questions verbally? I do know that there is a question while we work on that. There is also a question in the chat where families are asking about the interaction that students will have outside of Teams. And so if students are in the classroom and they're connected to their teachers during the instructional day on Teams, and that is where the primary instruction might be occurring, then of course they're interacting inside of that space. But if they are in the physical classroom with other students at the times that are appropriate at breaks and exchanges, those kinds of things, of course there will be some interaction between the students and their peers when they're in that building. Are there other questions in chat that we can bring verbally at this time?
Yes, Dr. Yes, there's a question. Will there be before care and after care provided in the schools?
So our before care and after care programs are going through some of the same, planning and decision-making processes that we're going through now. And so it's so important that families make that decision by November 6th so that we are able to give them that data and they can plan accordingly. And so we do offer before and after school care virtually at this time, and we will be able to continue to support families with that before and after care as appropriate, even in January.
There's a question that says, what happens if midway through the year we decided that it's not working? How do we change then?
And I believe we had this question earlier today. Ms. Payne, if you can help me out, I think that for that question, we are encouraging families to make a decision that they believe that they can stick with through the semester or through the remainder of the year. That's correct. I see you nodding there. And so we are asking families to make that decision that they can stick with. And we do know there may be some bumps, and we're asking folks to continue to be flexible. That F in the SAFE plan is for flexible. And so we're asking folks to continue to be flexible while we work through some of those details.
And also, this is important and vital due to staffing. So that's one of the reasons why we would like for families to commit for the semester of their decision, because after the deadline, we are going to ensure that staffing is in place to accommodate. Next question.
Will middle and high school students transition to other classes?
At present, the mobilization for transitioning will be limited because remember, parents, safety is at the forefront. It can vary by school according to the school or the student population of students returning. But at this time, it will be limited with the transition of moving throughout the school building. Next question.
There was a question about if there are students currently participating in some of the Y virtual hubs, and it's an SES school, will they need to go to an SES school or continue to be at the Y hubs?
If I'm correct, and I think Chief Phillips is on the line, if they are already currently at a Y location and they are satisfied with the virtual, Learning, which was it will be the same as in school. I believe they can remain at the Y site. Is that correct, Chief Phillips?
Absolutely, Director Payne. That is absolutely an option. We want to do what's best for families while we're encouraging all families to make the best decision, what's safe, number one, and what's best for their families. They have the choice to remain virtual, to be in school with the possibility of their teacher teaching virtually, but all students will still be, although in person, receiving instruction virtually, or they can remain at that hub if that emergency provider will remain open. We know the YMCA most likely will, but we will encourage all parents, if they are at a child care site, to make sure that site plans on continuing operation in January.
Okay, thank you so much. Next question.
We have a question related to COVID. What will be the number of cases that will cause SES to shut down?
Great question. So I would like to say that the district is definitely using science and working with CDC to, we're following, the CDC guidelines. And right now, I cannot say that there is a number that we have slated, but I want to ensure you that safety is the forefront. Chief Phillips, do you have anything additional to add? But I just want the families and parents, I just want you to know that the district, we are relying heavily on science and what the CDC is putting in front of us for the safety of our students, our teachers, and all staff in the district.
Director Payne, if I may just add to that, we know that there's a lot of angst, and it's the fear of the unknown with that. But we can expect, and hopefully not, but we can expect COVID cases. We can expect possibility of rolling closures. But the beauty is all students have our mobile devices, so that should not impede on the loss of instruction should we have to, a particular school may have to be closed for cleaning or, the quarantine in a high number of cases or whatever. So that's one reason why we are so glad that the superintendent really pushed the one-to-one device.
All right, thank you so much. Next question, please.
Yes, will my child be able to ride the bus to and from school?
Yes, we do have transportation. I think we have a slide on that, but transportation will be provided as it was before. So bus transportation will be provided.
If they are not outside, if they are outside of the parent responsibility zone, so they may want to make sure that they're checking with transportation with their schools. If they were receiving transportation at first and had a bus route, then absolutely. But if they are a part of the parent responsibility zone, I think it's within a 1.5 mile radius, then the parent will be responsible for the transportation of the child to and fro.
Absolutely.
In the meantime, we're also dropping in that link to the transportation reentry simulation. I definitely want families to know that the district has put together a number of reentry simulation videos for you, and they are all housed there on that Learning Options website where you can view the SAFE plan and the frequently asked questions, that link that we've been mentioning earlier today. And so we do want you to know that you can find those links there, but I did drop the transportation one in the chat there, so you can go directly to YouTube to view that one so you can get an idea of what that will look like. I guess while we're on me, I'll go ahead and do another question to help our producers out. So the question says that, or the statement says that we've actually focused on how to choose a learning option, but we've not focused on the actual instruction. And so that instruction, families, is still occurring in Microsoft Teams with that certified teacher. And so the certified teacher that the child has been working with this school year will continue to work with the student, the teacher or teachers, of course, depending on how old the students are. They may have multiple teachers, but they are also going to continue working with them. So that part will remain largely unchanged. So even if that teacher is in the classroom with the students or if they're connecting via Microsoft Teams, then a lot of that content will remain the same because that certified teacher is still there with the students. And so that may be comforting to some families who are wondering if the instruction or the instructor may be changing. So you'll have that information there. Are there other questions coming in chat that we can bring verbally, team?
I see one for maybe Justin. A parent states that I already have access to PowerSchool. How can I add my Head Start child to update the learning choice?
I think I might have sent a response back to that one, but I'll say it so the other parents can hear it too.
Okay.
Normally the pre-K and Head Start students do not use the parent portal, but for this student learning option, we are adding them to them. So if they can email, the easiest one, but since it's up there, is either call the 416-6007 or email the I Choose and tell them what the same thing that they type in there that they're trying to add their pre-K student or their Head Start student, and then someone can assist them that way and adding it to their parent account that already exists, and then they can do the student learning option for them.
All right, thank you, Justin.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Other questions?
We have a question. What will be the responsibility of the teacher being virtual and monitoring students in a classroom setting?
I guess this person is assuming that the classroom teacher is at home. That's what I would assume. So if the teacher is teaching virtually, then they are, as they are right now, they are responsible for daily instruction. They are responsible for engaging with students and supporting and ensuring student mastery of the standards and the content that is being taught each day. So that part remains unchanged for the responsibilities of that teacher of record. Anyone else wants to add to that while we look in chat for other questions or ask team members to bring them verbally?
Dr. Luster, I think we may have addressed this, but I've seen it a couple of times again. So how many students are expected to be in each class in a large gathering space such as, a large gathering space such as a cafeteria?
So that question is kind of challenging to answer because, of course, every school and every classroom is structured so very differently. So there's not a specific number, I would say, because every classroom and every school just looks so different in terms of its actual architecture, if you will. But students, I think the information that if you go to the SAFE plan, it does share that we will be social distancing to the extent that is possible. And a lot of the information that we're gathering from families right now regarding their plans for January will help the school leader to develop the plan for where students are physically going to be in the buildings, whether that is when they are at the times that they're in the classroom, when they're learning, or if those are times that they are in a library or a gym or a cafeteria, some of those larger spaces that I think the family might be inquiring about. So a lot of that information will come from the data that we're getting from families as they make the decision by November 6th. And I also invite other team members to share perspective on that item as well.
That was well said, Dr. Luster. You covered everything on that one.
I agree.
I agree. Kudos.
Well, thank you, team. Let's hop back into these questions from the families. So let's see, what other kind of questions do we have, team?
I do want us to, I think this is the second time that I've seen this. We have a parent states that with the COVID cases on the rise in almost every state, including Tennessee, and with a medical expert claiming the second wave is on the rise, what rationale are we using to phase students in January? So we are looking, like we just stated, that we are paying attention to the numbers, and we are looking at what CDC is providing for us. And we do want all parents to understand that safety is the forefront. And if it is on the rise for, that it is not safe or conducive for us to phase back in, we will follow the CDC guidelines. Would anyone like to add to that as it relates to the rationale for us phasing in with the students? The concern is the rise of the cases that we're seeing.
I think this is, I guess what I'm adding is more of conversation, Ms. Payne. I think that in the weekly updates that we've been receiving from the superintendent, and even those weekly updates that the Shelby County Health Department has been doing each week about midday, we've been hearing information about cases, but they've not shared a specific number to say, this is at this particular number, we can expect these things to happen or not to happen. And so I think that we are leaning again and learning from the scientists, and as they kind of walk us through this process, we're learning so much while it is happening, and I think we're still relying very heavily on them for that.
Thank you. Q&A moderators, do we have additional questions to address?
There's some questions about what a day will look like for pre-K and kindergarten teachers or students. If you could just speak to like what a day may look like, or how a day will flow for students that do decide to come back into the classroom.
Actually, we're able to go to that slide at the same time while we get that information pulled up, families. We do want you to know on that Learning Options website, you're able to see the sample schedule for elementary, middle, and high school. And so you're able to see that the sample site. And in fact, I'll just take you there to the site to allow you to see that really quickly. I'll see if we can get that pulled up. And I think that would be the best option. We were able to do it this morning to just kind of walk families through. And so let's see if we can get that up for you. And I believe you're now looking at the Learning Options website. If I can get someone to verbally confirm that for me.
Yes.
All right, so I believe that you're looking at that Learning Options website. And once you're here, families, I know that the main thing that you're seeing is the information about the learning choices. And so some may say, oh, I don't need to see that specifically. I want to know a little bit more about what those schedules and things might look like. So this item here, learning samples, facts and facts. So when we click this, it gives us a website that takes us to a part of the website, rather, that has information available for us in English and in Spanish. The question just then was specifically about elementary school. So as we see here, we have a walkthrough, and I think Ms. Payne has walked us through this morning, or was able to walk us through this morning. Ms. Payne, are you still live and able to walk us through the elementary school day at this time? Okay.
Yes, I am. Okay, so we have step 1 through 6. Parent step 1 focuses on the travel time, the arrival time of the student. I did see in the chat, we do understand that we have eyes on schools, and you can check with the school for bell times, but for our SCS non-eyes on schools, the times slated here is 7:15 to 7:30. It talks about Angela travels to school. 7:30, 7:55. Step 2 talks about the entry of the school building, where students will have their temperature checked, and all students will have on masks. The 3rd step talks about the morning virtual instruction. And so it does discuss, you can read in detail how they're using, the student name is Angela, washes her hand before entering the room, and the seat for the location where Angela will learn, and it goes on and so forth. And so that's a sample schedule time from 8 to 11. 4 is the lunch transition, where students will have their opportunity for lunch, and the students are still going to, wash their hand, eat their lunch at the designated area. It will be based school by school. The fifth step is where the students will return back to virtual learning utilizing the team platform. And the sixth step is when our students will prepare to exit to go home from the school day. And this varies from elementary, middle, and high school. But please do check with your individual schools for the start time of the school day. Remember, this is a sample day of the life of an elementary student.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Ms. Payne, for going over that. And just want to highlight for families, the middle school and the high school versions are here as well, and you're able to see those and download those and review them. And then also frequently asked questions, the safety facts about the mask, cleaning, and sanitization. I believe there are some questions about that. That information is there for you, as well as the frequently asked questions. So in this version, this is the frequently asked questions graphic, but down here, in the frequently asked questions, you get a longer version of content here. And then also this one has the date, so you can ensure that the one that you are looking at is indeed the most up-to-date version of our frequently asked questions. And so you'll have that content there if you are able to head to this website. And this is one of the cleaning videos, and someone had a question about that. So we're dropping that information in the chat for you families, so that we can make sure that you are getting the information that you need. Here, also on the site, you're able to see a variety of the re-entry videos and simulations. And so some of this information will also help with questions that are being asked, excuse me. And then you also have access. This opens up a window where you have access to much of the other content that has been shared on the SAFE plan. So hopefully that will be helpful for some families and just kind of navigating where the content is living on the district website, so that you can kind of review that at your leisure. Are there other questions coming in chat?
There is another question. Will school leaders have a deadline to provide information on in-person learning logistics, classroom coverage, cafeteria limits, etc. to parents?
So I have not been apprised of that particular deadline. Is there someone else on the call who is able to share? I'm not sure that information has been communicated at this time.
Hi, yes, Dr. Lust, I can speak to that. If they could just contact their child's school, preferably the principal or administrator, they will be able to find out right now as the results are coming in, as the responses are coming in, then each school is planning logistics. So I would just say continue to reach out to that school through the teacher or directly to the administrator to find out for that particular school.
Okay, thank you for that. I also see a question of someone is asking about their sixth grader in particular, but this applies to all families. If we're going to lose teachers as the students might transition between being virtual now, if the family chooses in person. And so the district is planning to honor the students' schedules as they exist currently, so that the students are still with their teacher or teachers, plural, that they're working with now, that they've been building relationships with since August. Of course, if there are some changes, the individual schools will make you aware of those changes and let you know where we're going in that direction if there's a need for student transfers or moving students around. But at this time, the plan is for students to remain with their teachers that they are working with currently. And so I hope that eases some concern for that particular family. I know I had some favorite teachers as a student, and I would not have wanted to be separated from some of those teachers, but I did also experience some transitions due to class sizing and those things, and I was okay at that time. And I think some other folks may have some of those experiences. What kind of questions do we have also coming in chat with the time that we have left together this evening?
There's a question that asks, how will students attend support classes? If the support class teacher is actually on site in the school, will the students that they are on site attend class in person?
And I think this goes back to the mobilization question, Ms. Payne and Dr. Phillips. And so we did talk about the limiting of students moving around the building. So whether that's their support classes or if we're talking about older students who have multiple classes in a regular day. So we're going to limit some of that mobilization of students moving around in the building, but students will still be able to connect with those support classes as they are now able to connect virtually with those support teachers.
Right. And I think, Dr. Luster, if we could, let's stress right here, one important part to know is, and going back to even when you were talking about the favorite teacher, your child's teacher should remain and will remain the same. Instruction will remain the same. It's just, be it virtual or in-person virtual. So even if they're inside of the classroom, socially distanced, then they still have their headsets on, they're still on their devices, and they're still learning from their teacher virtually. So going to the support staff and their superlative classes, exploratory classes, I'm sorry, then those should remain virtual as well. There should be limited interaction right now because we want to err on the side of precaution. We want to ensure safety. And so everything right now will remain virtual, be it in person, be it at home, be it at the emergency provider location where you're receiving their child care. Safety is key, safety is first, and we're just trying to embrace that new normal. But even if you select in person, then again, it's socially distanced as best as we can, and they will be receiving that instruction from their teacher virtually, even if that teacher is sitting at the desk or at home and they're speaking to them through the screen. And that's what one of the visuals will help to reinforce as well. But we're trying to embrace the new normal. We're ready to love on our babies as much as we can, as best as we can, and get through this together.
There is a question here, Dr. Phillips, specifically asking if we will be employing testing for students or faculty before we return in January. Are you able to speak to that?
I would say we're going to have an FAQ, so we're trying to make sure that we are recording all of the questions. So things that I cannot speak to or we cannot speak to, we'll make sure that we address those questions. So I know, for students, I know that that's optional as far as the testing, but encouraged, but it's optional. And I think for teachers as well, but I don't want to say, I don't want anybody to quote me on that. So let me get back with our coordinated school health team and find out that answer. And so we'll make sure that comms has that on our FAQ page.
Thank you for that. And then also, some parents are asking about our procedures if students or teachers test positive for the coronavirus. Then specifically on that, we do have information in the FAQs with that information that talks about how we'll handle, how we as a district will handle those situations. And so we'll be sure to drop that in the chat so that you can give that a read. That's a little bit more substantial than the time that we have together, but there is a protocol in place for that. And I think you may have seen something even recently. We've had some discussions about that over the last couple weeks or months.
Also, we have a question as it relates to uniforms. If the choice is made that the student will return back to school, all students are expected to be in uniform to abide by the school uniform policy or the district uniform policy, excuse me. Chat moderators, are there any additional questions in our Q&A? All right, parents, we thank you for joining us tonight, excuse me, on behalf of Chief Phillips and our superintendent, Dr. Joyce Ray. We want you to know that your voice matters, and we want you to continue to ask those questions, and we are going to address any of your wonderings. Please make sure that you look on the website as well as in the chat box that we have sent those valuable links for our Q&A and our fact sheets, so you can be abreast on your wonderings of the reentry, watching those videos. And parents, we please, please, please make your selection. Remember, the deadline is November the 6th. This is very important so we can have proper staffing to receive our students once they return. We thank you so much. We are in this together. And remember, safety is the forefront of any decisions that will be made. And the district is, we're looking and we're seeking out what our CDC department is advising us to do. So we want you to know that we want safety for all. Thank you again. Enjoy the rest of your evening.